You're paying $20 a month for Claude Code. You can't swap the model. And the token burn is real, so I ran 6 actual alternatives through the specific reasons people leave, kept a running scoreboard, and I'll tell you exactly which tool fits your situation. One of them completely changed how I think about model lock-in. The 6 tools are Aider, OpenCode, GrokBuild, Cursor, Codex, and Verdant. Each one targets a different reason you'd leave Claude Code, so let's get into it. Alternative 1, Aider, the free open source exit. Your Claude Code bill just hit $200 this month because you ran a few long agentic sessions, and you're locked into one model with zero flexibility. That's the exact situation Aider was built for, and it's free under Apache 2.0. Bring your own key and get native right out of the box. Alright, so here's what the numbers actually look like. Aider is $0, Apache 2.0, and you bring whatever model you want, GPT-4o, Gemini, anything. While Claude Code runs a fixed monthly subscription locked to Claude only, and the one real edge Claude Code keeps is that 1M token context window, which does matter for huge repos, but on cost and model choice, Aider takes it clean. Aider wins this one on cost and model freedom. I expected the Git native workflow to be the selling point, but the $0 price tag is what actually moves people. And if your pain is the monthly bill and model lock-in, Aider is the cleanest exit you'll find, which puts the score at one strong pick on the board. I know that cost finding because I've burned through enough agentic sessions to feel it personally. Drop a comment if the Claude Code bill has surprised you too. Alternative 2, OpenCode, the model agnostic exit. So you want Aider's freedom, but you also want to pick from 75 different model providers depending on the job. Not just 1 or 2 options. A real menu, and that's OpenCode's pitch. Open source, BYOK or pay as you go. Connecting to over 75 providers, while Claude Code stays locked to Anthropic. The part that got me here was the subscription routing situation. OpenCode hits on model flexibility and cost control, with 75 plus providers and BYOK, or Zen pay-as-you-go. But Anthropic actually blocked third-party tools from routing through your Claude subscription credentials in early 2026, so you can't use your Max plan through OpenCode anymore. And that's a real gotcha worth knowing before you switch. OpenCode takes this on model flexibility and cost control. I didn't expect the subscription routing block to be as big a deal as it is, but it genuinely changes the calculus if you're a Max subscriber. So that's 2 solid picks so far. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. Aider for pure cost escape, OpenCode if you need a real model menu. Alternative 3, GrokBuild, the parallel agent exit. You're running a long agentic task in Claude Code. It's burning tokens in a single loop, and you're watching the cost meter tick up while you wait for one agent to finish before the next one even starts. That's the pain GrokBuild targets, and it runs up to 8 parallel agents, each in its own isolated Gait worktree. I had to run it twice to make sure I was reading this right. GrokBuild's 8 parallel agents in isolated worktrees is a genuinely different architecture from Claude Code's single agent loop, which is a real structural advantage for parallelizable work. But Claude Code's 1M tokens dwarfs GrokBuild's 256K, so huge codebases still favor Claude Code, and Arena Mode, the headline feature, wasn't live as of June 2026. GrokBuild wins on parallel execution. It's the only tool here with a fundamentally different agent architecture, and that puts 3 strong picks on the board now. Aider for cost, OpenCode for model choice, GrokBuild if token burn on long sequential runs is your specific pain. Alternative 4, Cursor, the editor first exit. You've been living in a terminal with Claude Code and you're tired of it. No tab completion, no visual file tree, no real IDE experience, and you just want to write code the way you always have, but with AI baked in, which is Cursor's entire reason for existing. It's a full IDE with tab completion as a core feature, not an afterthought. So when I looked at the two side by side, Cursor is a full IDE with tab completion and multi-model support, while Claude Code is a terminal native CLI, full stop, for editor experience and model flexibility. Cursor wins clean, but for long autonomous multi-file tasks where you're already living in the shell. Community consensus hands it to Claude Code, and that's a real trade-off worth knowing. Cursor takes the editor experience category. If you want a real IDE, this isn't a close call, and that's 4 alternatives reviewed, every one of them winning on the specific dimension it was built for, which is kind of the whole point of this exercise. Now, Codex and Verdant are up next, and one of them has an angle on Claude Code that none of the other tools even tried, an official plugin that lets Claude Code delegate work to it directly, and that changes whether you're replacing Claude Code or just adding a tool alongside it, so the answer might not be what you're expecting. Alternative 5, Codex, the writing and delegation exit. You're using Claude Code for everything, writing, coding, design work, and you've noticed the writing output is just kind of okay compared to what you get from OpenAI's models. So you want something that's actually good at writing and can hand off cleanly to Claude Code for the agentic stuff, and that's the specific gap Codex fills. Watch what happens when you look at how these two actually split the work. Community consensus says Codex is the pick for writing tasks, while Claude Code is where people spend most of their time for agentic coding and design work. And OpenAI shipped an official Codex plugin for Claude Code so you can set up a changes.log handoff and delegate writing to Codex, while Claude Code handles the agentic heavy lifting. The honest nuance here is that this split is based on community consensus, not a controlled identical harness test. So treat the writing edge as directional rather than a hard number, but the interop story is fully documented. The official plugin exists, the changes. Log workflow works, and if you need both writing quality and agentic coding, running Codex alongside Claude Code is a real option, not a workaround. Codex and Claude Code split this one, Codex for writing, Claude Code for agentic coding. And the official plugin means you don't actually have to choose between them, so the score sits at 4 wins for the alternatives, 1 tie, and we've got 1 left. Alternative 6, Verdant, the try before you buy exit. A lot of people don't want to commit to another monthly subscription just to find out if an agentic coding tool works for their workflow, and Claude Code gives you no free trial. You pay first and figure it out later, while Verdant gives you 100 credits for 7 days to actually test it, plus model routing and an eco mode to control costs. I looked hard for independent benchmarks on Verdant, and I couldn't find any controlled head-to-head data with a clear methodology. So what's documented is the free trial at 100 credits for 7 days, model routing, eco mode, and BYOK support, none of which Claude Code has, and the directional call is that Verdant is worth trying if the free trial is your specific need, but go in knowing the independent validation isn't there yet. Verdant takes this on trial availability and model routing. It's the only tool here that lets you test agentic coding before you pay a cent, and that closes out all 6 alternatives. 5 of them win on their specific dimension, 1 ties, and the final score across this whole video sits at Claude Code 5, alternatives 5, with 1 tie. Okay, so why are people actually leaving Claude Code? 3 concrete reasons. Model lock-in, meaning you're on a fixed subscription and you're stuck with Claude Opus with 0 flexibility. Token burn on extended agentic runs, which gets economically brutal fast on serious projects. And Opus 5.0 producing way more verbose output and chatter compared to 4.6, which people are definitely noticing. Now, here's where Claude Code still genuinely wins. That 1M token context window is a real edge for huge code bases, and none of the 6 alternatives match it. For long, autonomous, multi-file terminal tasks, community consensus still hands it to Claude Code, and the code review catches 89% of dangerous commands versus 13.6% caught by human review across 1,053 testers, which is not a small gap. If you're leaving because of the monthly bill and model lock-in, Aider is the default pick, free, open source, BYOK, done. If your pain is specifically token burn on long agentic runs, Grokbuild's 8 parallel agents are a different architecture worth a serious look. If you want a real IDE, Cursor, and really the whole decision comes down to one thing. What's actually driving you out? One thing that didn't come up in the formal benchmarks: Claude Code's widely cited 81% first attempt success rate and 34% unsolicited bug catch rate are community reported numbers. I couldn't find them in Anthropic's vendor docs or any independent evaluation with a clear methodology, so if you've been treating those as verified benchmarks when choosing between tools, it's worth knowing they're not sourced the way you'd expect. If you're a developer thinking about moving off Claude Code, you'll probably want to check out the video I did on Best GitHub, Copilot Alternatives for Developers. Same format, same scoreboard approach, and it covers a few tools that overlap with what we just went through in a way that might actually change your final pick.